Why do you need to trade online? Well, let me explain it in very simple terms. This is actually one of my favorite sort of mini lectures, as it were. Once upon a time, as you know, people trained for a job. They saved for a pension as well until their retirement. And if they had enough left after their bills, some of them went on holidays. They might have bought a second rental property for additional income. Then, sadly, one day, it felt like the end of the world. First of all, things got outsourced, and they got credit crunched, and the recession hit, and so the stock markets fell, and properties crashed, and of course, austerity hit and bit. So our income dried up, and people gradually realized that actually businesses don't really have long-term survival rates. As we've seen, they keep on collapsing thanks to recessions. So even when they looked at business, they saw that the causes of failure were things like staff costs, marketing costs, infrastructure costs, price competition, new product innovation, regulation changes, whether or not there'd be demand, the whole logistics of delivery, and everyone just felt like a big fat failure. So some just wanted to be their own bosses and keep their businesses very simple. So they started looking at foreign exchange trading. The advantage of trading as a business, first of all, there were no staff costs. Trading has no staff costs. Yeah, sure, you can eventually hire an assistant, maybe outsource the accountancy. There's no staff training therefore needed. There's no employer's liability insurance, no statutory paid leave, no employee benefits to give, no staff pension fund. Wow, that's a lot of savings. That's a great way of running a business if you think of trading as a business. It also meant the advantages of trading as a business were the infrastructure. There was no office, no shop, no commuting. You just needed a computer and the internet. This business starts looking very interesting all of a sudden. But it also meant there weren't any marketing costs because there were no blogs or social media to try and sell your product. There were no Google ads to try and get people to buy it. There were no business cards needed. Basically no shop needed. What it also meant was there were no price competitors. There was no foreign low-cost provider of your product out from China. There was no price competitor next door to you. There was no supplier price hikes where the supplier says, well, all of a sudden I'm going to charge you more. There were no costs like that. There were also great cost savings because the trading platform through which you traded foreign exchange was free. And the trading brokerages were commission-free. Suddenly, as a business, this looked better than any other business. The other advantage was there were no product innovators, somebody who would just come around and say, I've got a new way of offering sterling dollar. Sterling dollar is sterling dollar. It is what it is. You can't change it. A pound is a pound and a dollar is a dollar. There is no innovation in this. And that's great because it meant that you weren't going to get the legs removed from under you by some smart aleck from halfway across the world, making you obsolete. There was this other issue. There was basically no credit risk. If your broker goes bust, your account is underwritten by the government. You benefit from a government bailout because your brokerage account, you don't get that kind of credit security when you're just buying and selling shoes to sell in your shop to someone. Nobody's going to bail you out if you're a small business other than if you're a customer of a brokerage. So that turned out really well. The other great benefit, there was no risk to demand. People are always going to want dollars and pounds and euros. There'd always be a buyer at a price on the global market. And there was no price haggling. You didn't have to say to each supplier and drive around and say, well, now I want to reduce a few cents here or there. The price was on the screen and you had to be a price taker. And that was that. It really simplified your life. But there were no logistical problems. There was no warehouse, no storage, no delivery. Everything at the click of a button was just sold or bought. And that was it, without commissions and no middlemen fees. Unlike any other business, it was incredibly, incredibly simple. And of course it would be because the financial markets are the most evolved. The other advantage, again, going with this issue of low cost, was, well, you could start with as little as a Dell computer, which was as cheap as $450. Maybe add an extra monitor or two. Well, they cost about $100, and get some broadband. Everybody's got broadband internet. And that was it. You had your business up and running. You could focus all your energies on learning and education without having to focus them on all the other annoying parts of running a business.